I'm Bruce Morgan and I have responsibility for collections belonging to East Ayrshire Leisure Trust, and I'm going to discuss today some of the objects we have within the collection. Masks, which you'll all be familiar with, have been used by human beings throughout history and in every culture for a variety of reasons. Now, everybody will be pretty familiar nowadays with this. We're all encouraged to put this on, and the purpose of it is protection. Now, there are other objects within the collection that are similarly connected with the process of protection, and the one obvious one quite dramatically is the gas mask, First World War gas mask, which we have on display. Now, masks can fulfill a wide range of purposes. One of them is to conceal identity. This isn't a museum object, this is a mask that you can buy in the shops. Or a mask can be used to change identity. When you're fired. Now move on to a number of objects from the collection, and I think if we start at this end, we have a mask, an African mask. I'm not entirely certain which culture is associated with. I suspect it's got a connection with Gabon, which is in West Africa. One of the traditional techniques for decorating masks was to use kaolin clay, which is shiny clay, it's white clay. I suspect that is what's being used to decorate this mask. It's quite complex because on one hand there's a face here, and in the end of these two horns, another two faces. It's really quite dramatic. I don't know exactly why this was made or what it would have been used for, but masks of this kind are normally used for rituals in which an ordinary human being becomes for a period of time a god or a spirit, or allows people to make contact with another world beyond them. Another African mask here, quite a dramatic piece, with a huge wooden mask, no coloured decoration, huge ears, a huge nose and mouth. Now, I think this is associated with the Mende culture, which is Sierra Leone. Again, it's West Africa. I'm not 100% certain, so someone might be able to correct me on this. And move on here to New Guinea. This is much further afield. Again, we have quite a dramatic and devilish looking mask. Precisely what the ritual was associated with this, I can't say. The materials are interesting and give some indication of where it came from. You can see around the lips and the eyes, these little white spots, they are actually cowrie shells. And the cowrie is a small snail, and they were used very often for, used sometimes for money, but also used for decoration in New Guinea, but also in Africa, other parts of the world. And in the nostrils you can see two tooth-like pieces that jut out, and these are the tusks of pigs. Now around here is the beard, what I imagine is the beard, and this is made, I think, of coconut fibre. Now with regard to these objects, and with many objects which we have in the collection, I can't actually give you a precise identification or a precise description of the rituals that were used and associated with them. But they're all to do with religious belief, with mythology, with ancient kings, or with spirits or with gods. And these were ways in which people could alter their identity and in a sense become associated with the spirits and the gods who were featured in the various rituals. The Greeks, the ancient Greeks and the Romans had a tradition of drama, and the actors in these dramas used masks, and the masks were called persona, and that's where the word personality comes from, and therefore what we're talking about is identity. So masks and identity are closely associated. Now I'll take you to another mask here, and I know a little bit more about this. This is from Bali, so it's not too far from New Guinea. It's called a devil mask, and it's associated with a goddess called Randa. It's female, a witch, and a sort of leader of witches. And in the mythology of the people in Bali, she represents evil. Now the strange thing is that she's opposed to the principle of good, or the being that represents good, and the being that represents good is sometimes personified as a leopard, as a lion, sometimes as a panther, sometimes as a bear. The strange thing is that good is represented by a non-human, and evil is represented by a human, in fact a woman. You can see these huge fangs, bulging eyes, and hairy ears. Now if we move away from the east, come a bit closer to home, but still not too close. This comes from the Caucasus, and the Caucasus are mountainous region between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. So if you look at a map and identify the Black Sea, which is quite easy to do, the next, towards the east, the next big body of water is the Caspian Sea, and the Caucasus are the mountains that exist between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. And there's a huge number of different ethnic groups there. Tajikistan, Armenia, Georgia. This comes from Dagestan, which is right down by the shores of the Caspian. And it's made of felt, which is wool, but there are two ways that you can make objects out of wool. One way is that you can weave a fabric. The other way is to felt it. And pressure and moisture is used to make the wool stick together, so you make a kind of a fabric-like material. Now, this is associated with a sort of a cult, which is connected with in Dagestan and other parts of the Caucasus with a midwinter festival, so it's a little bit like our Halloween in a sense. And these masks were used at times in the way in which we use guising masks today, which essentially is that they were worn by young men. They were supposed to be able to transform them into wolf-like animals, and they would then hold up cars, etc., and demand some kind of payment, like a packet of cigarettes or what have you. But this is, again, all of these masks represent traditions that go back for centuries, probably before, in this instance, before the Christian era, and similarly they reflect similar traditions that exist in our own culture, such as guising. So I think that's about all I've got to say at the moment.